It all comes down to this: 28 drivers, one trophy. They'll give everything and regret nothing. After what they fought for at Barber, COTA, Indianapolis, and Road America, the drivers find themselves at their final battleground, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Some will try to claim the title, but only one driver will go down in history as the first ever Road to Indy eSeries champion. This is the Road to Indy eSeries finale. Watch along this Saturday as the drivers fight for a cause in supporting COVID-19 relief efforts.
Well, what a season it's been, from real to virtual. It all comes down to this: the final round. So far, we've traveled from Barber to COTA to 16th Street and Road America, where we grabbed a virtual bratwurst after a thrilling penultimate round. That's usually over 2,000 miles of travel for 4 different racetracks. But with the added benefit of virtual racing from the comfort of our homes, it's only a few clicks away. Today we travel to Lexington, Ohio, as we welcome you to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, which hosts the 5th and final round of the Ricmotech Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires, the iRacing eSeries that allows our up-and-coming talent to duel virtually, with all coverage today on Apex Racing TV. We also want to welcome our Canadian audience from the MAVTV Motorsports Network around this 2.4-mile layout, 3.8 kilometers, depending on your units of choice in Mid-Ohio. It's a clockwise circuit with 14 corners around a track that has hosted the Honda Indy 200 since 2007. There'll be 26 meters of elevation change. That's all laser scanned here and brought to you virtually for today's action. The lowest point of that elevation coming across the start-finish straight. The highest point is at turn 2, the infamous keyhole. Racing action, 45 minutes. We'll have a 15-minute qualifying session preceding that. If you don't nail your laps in qualifying as usual this season, it'll be a short rundown to turn number 1. And with fixed setups, it's an even playing field for each of our up-and-coming Road to Indy talent. But for myself, Jonathan Simon, welcome to the coverage. I've got the voice of Road to Indy, Rob Howden, alongside me. And Rob, how thrilling is it to bring Mid-Ohio to the virtual service?
I'll tell you one thing, this is going to be a fantastic race. This is a track not really similar to what we had at Road America. It's a lot tougher to pass, overtaking not near as easy, a very undulating circuit, a lot of elevation changes. Cool factor, again, in this entire program is we have drivers from all 3 levels of the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. We've got the young drivers in USF 2000, those midway through the ladder in Indy Pro 2000. We've got a number of drivers as well from Indy Lights. And again, those drivers just one step away from the NTT IndyCar Series.
And the overall series winner after today will get to pick a COVID-19 related charity of their choice for a donation of a $2,600 prize purse. Now, $500 of that prize purse was donated from series partner TSOladder.com, with the rest of the charity fees paid to Ricmotech, who will donate them to the winning driver's charity. Now, only 3 drivers are in contention for that series championship. That's Phil Dennis, who's in prime position, Rob, but he's also got Dudu Barrichello and an ever-quick exclusive Autosport driver of Braden Eves behind.
Well, the big change, of course, was at Road America last weekend when Philippe Dennis, although was the leader, had some trouble coming out of the final corner, had to duck into pit lane instead of wrecking. He pit too early, had to come back into pit again, and that just minor miscue allowed Eduardo Barrichello, Dudu, the driver from Pabst Racing, a chance to grab the win. Philip Dennis won the first 3 in a row. Dudu came with the 4th round win. It'll be a challenge here. I think all 3 drivers are strong. Braden Eves, though, this is his home track. He lives in Ohio, not that far here from the circuit. He's got a lot of laps around this particular facility, both online and in the real world. So I think that Braden Eves could potentially grab his first race win of the year here today.
Yeah, let's hope for it for Braden Eves, who's been ever so quick. Now, 3 of these race wins did go to Phil Dennis, who is currently on provisional pole, and there are our championship standings on screen. For Dudu Barrichello last round at Road America, Rob, We don't normally see pit stops in the world of Road to Indy, but this series has included them. It's spiced up the action. And we were talking about this for the Supercars eSeries during the week, and they're trialing race formats that they might even introduce into the real world. So if you think about it, the virtual world could be a proving ground for the future. It's just that you have to hire a pit crew for all these guys now.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to go to pit stops for our guys here on the road to Indy. But again, for the drivers here in the virtual world and iRacing and the eSeries, they are getting an opportunity to learn about that quick in-lap, getting the stop done quickly, and then having that fast lap when you get back out on fresh, cold Cooper tires. So it is a good opportunity for these drivers to learn a little bit. All in all, though, I love the fact that this particular program has allowed a lot of our new racers a chance to get out there and go wheel to wheel. Again, all virtually, but some of these drivers who potentially had never been to Mid-Ohio or the road course in Indianapolis, or as you said, to a Road America, they got a chance to go wheel to wheel here before we go racing in June. That's where we'll start the season, end of June at Road America. So this really, for especially some of the younger drivers new to the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires, this really has been a unique opportunity for them to dial things in before the start of the season.
Yeah, 100%. So this series, as always, has been sponsored by, presented by Cooper Tires. It's the Ricmotech Road to Indy. So we welcome Ricmotech to the series for the final round. This is iRacing. It is a simulator service that you can participate in yourself. Visit iRacing.com and get yourself a subscription, get yourself a steering wheel, and you can potentially be as quick as the RP Motorsport USA driver of Phil Dennis, who's looking to claim the inaugural championship. And Rob, we've also have a pole winner award that's presented by Symmetric Driver Performance Labs. We're powered by Extreme Motorsports 99, and a fastest lap of the race award by TSOladder.com.
Yeah, great to have those partners on board with us again, qualifying, exciting for this particular event. We're seeing the guys up front, I think, Jonathan, that we expected to see.
Yeah, 100%. So let's see how they fare. They're currently in qualifying now for the moment. Now, they're only allowed a maximum of 4 laps for today's event, and they're all about to complete it as this session dwindles down to the end. Here's Hunter McElrea, who made his debut last round at Road America. He was involved in a collision earlier on, and unfortunately, we'll see whether or not he was not going for the championship, but we'll see whether or not he can improve on that today from Mid-Ohio. But for now, let's join Chaplain Jason Holt, who will offer today's invocation.
Let's pray. God, thank you so much for technology and the opportunity to gather today and watch these drivers utilize their amazing talents that you've blessed them with. God, we pray over today's event that we can have some fun together and that everything would go smoothly throughout the event. God, we also just lift up those that are on the front lines of this virus, that, Father, you would protect them, that you would empower them, lead and guide them every step of the journey, Father, and you would protect their families as well. God, we just thank you so much for the grace and the love that is available at the cross of Jesus Christ, in whose name I pray. Amen.
And now, our national anthem. Performing from Dallas, Texas, Russ Ruddock.
It's me, your Uncle Cooper, and this is a Cooper tire. Great tire. Now, it's not gonna cook you a pot roast, but it will stop when you hit the brakes. And these truck tires can stop on average 10 feet shorter than other tires on a wet road. See, the trick is in the grip, and these tires grip like my handshake. Look, I'm your uncle. I love you. I want you to stop when you need to. Doesn't matter if it's for a red light or a duckling. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! And never start something you can't stop.
From the national anthem and back to Mid-Ohio, it's an awesome production here. The team doing a brilliant job to bring virtual action to everybody at home during this unfortunate COVID-19 outbreak as the world faces the global pandemic. But we're going to fight and endure and conquer, and we're going to go virtual racing. Rob Howden, who joins myself, Jonathan Simon, in the commentary booth. Rob, we come into this race, the final round of our inaugural season, but we've already confirmed that the series will be renewed for an extra 5 races. 3 of those will be oval events, which can tell you I'm very ecstatic for.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it as well. One of the big things about the Road to Indy is, in the whole concept, Jonathan, is to train these drivers to get them ready to move to the NTT IndyCar Series. So in USF 2000, they run one oval race every year. We do the 5/8 mile oval at Lucas Oil Raceway during the Indianapolis 500 weekend. Sometimes it's been the Friday night, the Carb Night Classic. We've had it on Saturday nights, the night before the 500 event. In Indy Pro 2000, we add an additional race. Last year, they ran at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, so 2 oval events. And then moving to Indy Lights, there's 3 oval events. The idea is to get these drivers to learn both not just the road course, temporary circuits, and natural terrain, but also to get proficient at being able to run the ovals, which are so crucial if you're going to be a driver in IndyCar.
And what they do in IndyCar sometimes, Rob, is some teams have actually signed drivers to only compete in the road events, and others have signed drivers to compete in the ovals. So sometimes you want to have a skill set where you can compete in both. And I'm a big fan of Scott McLaughlin, who is an Aussie, of course, and he's trying to look to enter IndyCar full time. And he's somebody who's been trying to learn as much as he can on the ovals, and he's doing quite a good job of it virtually.
Well, you mentioned about the fact that we do have some drivers in the IndyCar program that just don't want to run the ovals. They are potentially a little more dangerous, of course. So a driver like Max Chilton has elected not to do that. We've had that happen in the past. That's opened the door for a guy like Connor Daly to jump into that seat, the Carlin seat, because he's actually only doing the road course component of the season with Ed Carpenter Racing, because Ed Carpenter will be in that particular car for oval races. So again, yeah, as you said, to be able to have some proficiency at the ovals is crucial. Scott McLaughlin already showed very well. He did a pretty tremendous test, and very impressive to see what he was able to do in that oval test. He picked it up very quickly, and some guys that maybe didn't think they'd be good at the ovals, like a Will Power, has turned into one of his absolute strengths.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about hard work behind the scenes. Will Power was somebody as well who competed against Scott McLaughlin in both the virtual IndyCar races in the past few weeks and the Supercars eSeries, as he was a wild card. But for now, though, we focus on our young talent. And by the way, that was Corey Enders, if you're wondering, who was skating that Pro Mazda across the gravel trap. Now, this is the Pro Mazda that's used on iRacing. The car will be retired soon, Rob, and we're going to bring the new chassis into iRacing soon enough, so long as that development hopefully will complete sometime in 2020, I presume.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that. We'll bring out the Tatis USF 17 and the PM 18. Again, kind of just bringing everything from the Road to Indy into iRacing. Looking forward to a fun future with that particular car.
So the Pro Mazda today that we're using, the Cooper tires are very durable around Mid-Ohio. The drivers won't have to worry about that too much, Rob. Now we're expecting pit stops, and the fuel, the drivers will start with 4 gallons, but they'll last around 28 minutes. So expect them to go about 30 minutes maximum on fuel. But what that means as well, Rob, is if you make an early pit stop 5 or 10 minutes into the event, you'll go nowhere off the line. Go nowhere in the race. We saw drivers having to make a second stop last week.
Indeed, you have to have the right strategy here. And I know a number of the drivers, I think, getting a better feel for this over the 5-race series. Of course, it was a bit of a surprise that we didn't have the fuel set right for the first race at Barber, drivers having to make stops, but impressive that the drivers kind of getting a better feel for it. It was just a couple of issues at Road America where drivers actually, I think, didn't read the debrief closely enough to realize how much they were able to go. I think all of them will read it now. And as you said, they're starting with 4 gallons of fuel. We'll see pit stops anywhere between lap 14 and lap 22.
Yep, definitely. So we're going to take a look at today's grid for this 45-minute race around Mid-Ohio. And our pole winner award will go to Phil Dennis yet another time. So he has won 3 of these in our 5-race championship. Peter Dempsey and Braden Eves were the other 2 to win that same award. And that pole winner award is presented by Simmetric Driver Performance Labs. You can visit simmetriclabs.com for more information on high-quality driver coaching. But for Phil Dennis, his championship challengers are Braden Eves and Dudu Barrichello will start from 2nd and 6th. So the top 3 rows filled with elusive talent.
Couple of young guns on row number 2. Hunter McElroy picking up the iRacing program very quickly. Just got the simulator set up last week, so he's looked very good. He'll start P3. Young Christian Brooks out of Southern California, great veteran driver of the Red Bull Global Rallycross program. Still the number 3 ranked karter in the country. He'll start 4th. A pretty good little couple of front rows, I think. Andre Castro there as well, Jonathan, in P5. Those top 3 rows are strong.
Exactly. So Daniel Frost, starting from 12th down the order 2, is Ever Quick, the Singaporean. He's very quick in the real world, but in the virtual world, he just hasn't had the luck on his side. How about Christian Rasmussen starting from 22nd? And look at all the drivers in between there. We saw Corey Enders, who's going to have a quick virtual repair and get that car off for the race in a few minutes' time. Max Kaiser will start on that 10th row alongside Keon Tandon. Michael D'Orlando in 21st. Reese Gold has been quick in the races, so look out for him come our 45-minute event. So now to give our engine start command is our title sponsor for this inaugural season. It's Frank Rico from Ricmotech Racing Simulators.
Drivers, start your engines.
Short pit opening lap here. They'll start on the back part of the racetrack. And again, we will take the green flag at the start-finish line. A lot of the events in IndyCar will start on the back straightaway. Here for this Road to Indy event, we'll start coming out at turn number 1. Philippe Dennis on the front row. That bonus point is going to make it even easier for him to clinch it here today. On the outside will be Braden Eves, last year's USF 2000 champion. A couple of young guns getting ready to roll. We are onto the front straightaway here at Mid-Ohio. Final round is green, green, green. Underway as the drivers will race into 1. Christian Brooks, aggressive move to the inside of the number 44. Dennis on the outside, driver spinning further back. Everyone else settling in. Who got the jump? I think it's Braden Eves with the first run down into the keyhole. Jonathan, Eves goes to the front of the pack.
And Kyle Dupel in the number 8 fell to some trouble as everybody begins to form up here through the keyhole for the first time. This is the long back straight where overtaking will be pivotal during the race, but it's Eves who leads from Dennis, from Brooks, from Hunter McElroy, and how about this down the front of the pack? Dudu Barrichello up into 5th.
First time into the hard-braking corner here, turn number 4 at Mid-Ohio. On the outside there, China Beach. Now they'll work into a tough part of this racetrack. It's a big climb up the hill to turn number 5. And you drop down a couple of stories into turn 6, through Madness into the S's, which is the 6, 7, 8 combo. And then for the first time, they'll drop into Thunder Valley. The car gets very light coming through Thunder Valley. A lot of action further back. A number of drivers getting together, Michael Myers being one of them.
Well, here's a replay up on screen. We're hearing word that Corey Enders has terminal damage, and you'll have to use what's called a fast repair. So it's essentially a free repair to these drivers to give them a brand spanking new car. He'll have to tow it to the pits. This was Josh Green almost clouding the barriers there as he headed through the middle part of the lap. And here's Kyle Dupel, who, I tell you what, Rob, I'm not sure if he left anything on the racetrack that he didn't hit on that opening lap. He was that bad. He had that much bad luck.
Yeah, the car was super crossed up coming through turn number 1. And again, you know, when you get the car all sideways like that, you have a bit of a tank slap where you're just trying to get the hands slowed down to see if you can keep it going straight. We are underway, though. The first lap is already in the books, and we said a pretty good little start there for Braden Eves. He leads the way right now. Philippe Dennis runs in second. Christian Brooks up to third, but I was impressed. Christian Brooks got a little aggressive there, Jonathan, in the opening corner. Tucked the inside of the front nose of that number 44 to the inside, but thought better of it and tucked back into third.
And Brooks has been competing in rallycross on iRacing against the likes of Travis Pastrana, Andreas Baccarud, and he even scored a podium at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. This is the virtual Daytona, don't forget, as we ride on board here with the exclusive Autosport driver. And he screams through the end of the lap at Mid-Ohio. It's an ever-fast lap. Brooks has spun. He spun and he's almost hit the wall there. He's off the racetrack. Now, what's happened here? There is a multitude of drivers going off into the wall.
Well, that's a really tough part of the racetrack. When you come up the hill there, let's see if he might have potentially touched. No, I'll probably just try to carry too much speed, but that is a blind corner, Jonathan. You come over top. I've driven here at Mid-Ohio before, and it's completely blind. Look at the big wreck further back. Everybody was checking up back there because as you come over the hill, it's totally blind. They couldn't see him spinning, and of course, according to the effect, a couple of drivers involved pretty aggressively there.
I've got vertigo watching Peter Dempsey. Goodness me. And I've never seen a car spin like that. Thank God it's virtual. As we ride on board with Ryan Norman. Andretti Autosport is everywhere in U.S. motor racing.
Well, another Ohio boy for Ryan Norman, 2 times a winner in the Indy Lights program. He's been a winner on the Oval, been a winner on the road course as well, and he's made the move actually to sports cars. Great to have him come back with us because he's a 3-year veteran of the Indy Lights program. Good to have Norman here, but again, as I said, he's from Aurora, Ohio, so Mid-Ohio definitely his home track.
And look at the gaps on the left-hand side of screen. So the way this race is shaping up is yet another battle between Braden Eves in the exclusive Autosport car and the RP Motorsport USA car of Phil Dennis in second. Now, Dudu Barrichello has dropped off the pack just by a touch, but he's got his Brazilian compatriot of Kiko Porto right behind in the 4th position. And look at that, fastest lap of the race so far for Dudu Barrichello. He's got to sneak in a few more of those, Rob, otherwise he's going to lose the toe from his rivals ahead.
Little bit of front wing damage. Left side of the front wing on Kiko Porto's machine has been damaged a little bit. You'll see that when he comes out of the corner here. They've got Andre Castro coming in here as well. But when it comes down to this championship battle and knowing that Philippe Dennis trying to steal away that bonus point he got for qualifying on the pole and getting that symmetric award, very, very important. That's going to be another spot on the racetrack. Look at this fight side by side, though, as Porto tried to go to the inside, back up over the hill. Very aggressive move here right now for Kiko Porto trying to get by Barrichello. I like this racing for P3.
I enjoy the racing, but if you think about how this race is going to progress, they've lost about half a second squabbling away there as they travel through Thunder Valley here. And we ride on board with Andre Castro, who at the Indianapolis race, Rob, after his huge incident at the final corner, I spoke to him in post-race interviews and I said, Andre, are you okay? And he said to me, you know what? I've still got a headache from that.
No doubt about that. That was a huge wreck on the front straightaway. And he's really been one of the stars of the program, this initial 5-race eSeries here with the Road to Indy. The impressive thing is, here's a guy that's trying to get back into the program, into the Road to Indy. He's been working with the guys at Legacy Autosport to see if he could potentially get some seat time this year, hopefully running the program. He's also running the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, the European road course series using the NASCAR Cup cars. So he does have a program lined up, but he really wants to get back in this Road to Indy. He's looking at IndyCar. That's where he wants to be if he possibly could. This program and how well he's showing could potentially motivate a team like Legacy to try to get him in the car.
Now that was Kiko Porto making his way past Dudu Barrichello, and that's for 3rd position. He did clear out the curve. This is Kyle Dupel. He's had... I feel really bad for Kyle. He's had an abysmal event so far for these opening few minutes. So here is that battle for 3rd continuing as Porto makes his way to that position. Now, you look behind them, and Chris Brooks leads the next train, and that includes 2 Aussies behind of Cameron Shields and Hunter McElroy, 2 drivers I commentated on, Rob, back in Formula Ford many years ago.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You got a chance to be there in their development years and get to talk to them about them here on the iRacing eSeries program. It was interesting for Cameron Shields because Cameron, of course, wasn't able to get back to Australia after we shut things down at St. Petersburg. So he's actually living with fellow driver Nolan Siegel in California. They only have one simulator, so I think they were racing to see who was quicker at the racetrack. Was it going to be Nolan driving? Was it going to be Cameron? It appears that Cameron was able to win that first battle of the weekend to make sure he got a chance to race here today.
So we're hearing word behind the scenes of a penalty as we watch Barrichello alongside Porto. We're going to see this occur many times here at Mid-Ohio as they travel towards turn number 5 here. You don't want to end up in the China Beach if you get it wrong. And it's Reese Gold that may have the penalty. So we'll keep you posted on that as they still travel alongside each other through the S as they come. And Porto will continue away up front here. Now, if you're in Andre Castro's position, I'm not sure what you do here. Do you just remain behind and keep yourself honest? I think you should be working together with these two.
Well, this is an old-fashioned dogfight right now. They're just going back and forth and back at it. I think people have seen just in the opening laps we've had, really the only solid passing opportunity here is down in turn number 4. Yeah, if you get a better run out of turn 1, you can try it down into the keyhole of turn 2, but you try and move to the inside there, you lose so much speed coming out of that corner. You have to have the exit speed coming out of the keyhole, which is downhill off camber, a very tough part of this racetrack. You have to have that speed out of that corner to make the move down into turn number 4. We'll see Barrichello now. You can see downhill, off camber, you got to roll back on the throttle, and then it's the big run down. There is a bit of a kink turn 3. It's a straightaway from 2 to 4, but just a little bit of a kink that if you block to the inside, you can see the kink there. They're going to go way to the outside. Now if the big run comes, here comes Barrichello. We saw it before, big move down. It's a downhill braking, and there you go. Andre Castro trying it as well. He'll be on the upside coming into turn number 5. Not quite able to get the job done, but Barrichello, Jonathan, as you said, able to make the move to get back to P3.
How brilliant is that? Side-by-side footage here provided by Apex Racing TV. We're going to bring you more of that throughout the rest of our 45 minutes of racing action. Now we've got our ticker all up and sorted on the left-hand side of the screen. That was a timing error, and it hasn't affected the drivers at all. They'll be focusing out there on the racetrack this time by, but it's still Braden Eves who leads. And this is Antoine Comeau, who's in his first event for round number 5 of the series, Rob. Someone's got to tell him he's 5 rounds too late.
This is it. Well, here's one of the things. Antoine Comeau actually didn't even make the run to St. Petersburg when we were there to try to start the season. With everything going along with the COVID-19 coronavirus, he's actually in the financial world, in the stock market in Chicago, so he had to make sure he was there. Obviously, a lot of things happening. As we have a driver off in the exit of 1. That could be McElroy. Hunter McElroy an issue. Have a look at the replay here of McElroy coming into turn number 1. Again, he was in that scrap with Christian Brooks, I believe, as well. Here's Brooks coming through. This is turn number 1. Let's see what happens to McElroy coming through. Does he clout? I don't know what do you want to call that?
He's probably picked up an immense amount of oversteer, I guess, and he's tried to overcompensate for it. This is the difficulty when you jump from a real car to the sim, and you just don't get that feeling through your bottom. And so I think he's just definitely overcompensated for it. But this is how fast he was driving, Rob. He was on the same pace, if not quicker, than Braden Eves and Phil Dennis the past couple of laps until his spin. So, yes, he was driving on the edge there, but unfortunately it's cost him an immense amount of time.
Well, like Antoine Comeau, to finish that thought, of course, he was so busy with what he had to do there in the financial world amidst the pandemic here right now. He's finally been able to get a chance to get behind the wheel and go. The cool thing about the new program that's going to start, as we said, in May, we're going to actually move to Wednesday events away from the Saturday events now. It'll be Wednesdays for the next 5 coming up in May. Everybody's going to get a chance to press the reset button. Hunter McElroy was late to the party. A lot of these drivers have been a little late to the party. They'll press the reset button. We'll start all again with series number 2.
Here we go now through the keyhole. Highest point of the circuit here at Mid-Ohio. And we watch Ryan Norman across the back straight. We haven't seen much of him this series, but he's on the attack here on Daniel Frost. It's Jacob Loomis behind him, who's also on the attack for the 9th position. Loomis to the inside.
Yeah, and Norman opened it up there. He saw him coming in. A wise move for Ryan Norman. That's a tough place to, I think, make the aggressive move to block there. They'll try to look to the inside coming down the hill to 6, but again, Loomis getting a good run. Loomis, a great story, Jonathan. Last year, of course, they had one of the new PM18s. It was kind of a family team. They had a 20-foot trailer, a couple of easy ups. They had a veteran Pro Mazda driver named and engineer named Moses Smith helping them out a little bit. But we had all these big teams, and then there was that McLaren Papaya orange car of Jacob Loomis, who as a privateer showed really well with a couple of strong top 10 finishes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, we've got a lot of young Road to Indy talent. Great to see a lot of international talent too, as we watch Loomis on screen heading through turn number 1. Now, we talked about this circuit being famous for IndyCar. It's hosted the Honda Indy 200 since 2007, but it's also a home for the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, Rob, and unfortunately this year, we don't know if that will be held. We hope so, though.
You know, it's the Mid-Ohio is just such a big part of the entire Road to Indy program, part of motorsports in general in the U.S. The IMSA sports cars come here. SRO shows up as well. There's been so many different programs that have been here. The Sports Car Club of America hosted their annual runoffs, national championship runoffs at Mid-Ohio many, many times. I remember a 16-year-old Graham Rahal actually winning in the Formula Atlantic category, just like his dad did a number of years earlier. It's one of the iconic tracks in North American motorsports, always home to some major events. Superbikes as well come and run. Karts run there as well. It's just like I said, one of the iconic tracks in North American racing.
And race control behind the scenes are investigating a multitude of incidents. One of those includes Corey Enders and Lewis Meyer. They're in cars 7 and 14 respectively, and that's race director Ryan Krob. We've got Johnny Unser, Robbie Unser involved too. Here's the incident between the two as Corey Enders just clouted the number 14 of Lewis Meyer, and I believe we could be seeing a penalty there for Corey Enders.
Yeah, you know what? You want to see respectful racing, but again, it's a lot of the times because of this racetrack, and I think more the nature of Mid-Ohio, it's not quite as open. There's not as many hard braking opportunities as you had at Road America, where you can pass in 1, down in 3, down in 5, down into hurry downs. There's so many places to pass at Road America, really only one here. So sometimes you got to get a little more aggressive, especially when the driver in front of you starts blocking a little bit, because you can run a little more defensive here, and no one's getting by. And sooner or later, the drivers behind start getting a bit frustrated.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and that's Porto running deep here through the middle sector, and now through to the end of the lap. It looks very similar to Barber, which hosted round number 1 of the Ricmotech Road to Indy eSeries presented by Cooper Tires, and they head through to the final corners. It's like a mini golf version, Rob, of Barber's final couple of corners, that whole complex.
Yeah, to a certain extent. The carousel, again, we've seen a lot of passing opportunities in the carousel, because really that's your last shot. So a lot of times the driver will come over the rise, that blind rise coming out of Thunder Valley, hang way to the left to try to get a good run. Well, the minute you go way to the left, it's going to open the door for any kind of driver looking to be aggressive to come to the inside. But again, then it's off camber. You're trying to roll the throttle back on before coming through the final couple of corners. A very difficult part of the racetrack. And again, just part of the lore, the legend of Mid-Ohio.
And so here's this train beginning to form up right here with Kiko Porto in the 4th position. I think Dudu Barrichello's broken the draft. In the real world, Rob, you're able to gain a draft from at least 2-3 seconds behind, but in iRacing, it's a little different. You won't gain as much of an advantage being 1.1 seconds behind. So far, Porto's dropping from the train, and again, this is where he made that mistake last lap round, but he's got Andre Castro behind, who's remained in 5th most of the race. He's got Brooks and Shields also joining the train. We've got pit stops coming up soon, and hopefully around 10 minutes time.
Yeah, what I'm liking here right now is the fact that although the number 12 of Porto doing well, look at behind them right now. You got Christian Brooks coming in the 44. You got Cameron Shields coming in the 20. I have a feeling this battle for this 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th position is going to be exciting.
And here they run to the keyhole yet another time. We're already 1/3 of the way through our 45-minute event. This is the final round. We will have a second series coming up after this, so don't lose your cool. But so far, it's Braden Eves leading this race from Phil Dennis.
What a weekend for the driver from Canada. It's a sweep, back-to-back jacks for Parker Thompson. Russell Flint, your winner by 8/10.
Bigfoot, the winner.
Back here from Mid-Ohio, we talked about pit stops coming up in a few minutes' time. Nobody has dived to the lane so far for our final round. Nobody from our front order, I should say, because we do have some pit stops towards the rear end of the field. But it's Jonathan Simon here in the commentary booth alongside the voice of Road to Indy, Rob Howden. And Rob, I asked you in the first round what you thought of virtual racing for the first time. What have you thought about virtual racing for this season? I'll ask you that question in a moment, because Ryan Norman in the Andretti Autosport car has made a mockery of the middle sector.
That is a tough part of this racetrack. Coming over the hill, another one of the blind corners here. You can see him get a little sideways, bit of a tank slapper. He lost the rear, overcorrected, and trouble there for Colin Kaminsky. Nowhere to go. And again, blind corner, you're totally committed coming over that corner, Jonathan. You got to take the rise. You're back on the throttle. The car is super light. You can see Norman get out of shape, and tough one for Colin Kaminsky, who's had a really strong season here in the iRacing platform. He gets collected as well.
That was turn number 9 of this 2.4-mile layout. It's Mid-Ohio, the sports car course, as it's famously known. It's on the iRacing service. It was laser scanned, so every single nook and cranny at this place, every single bump, every single curb is as it was in the real world. Now, here's Peter Dempsey. You might be wondering, he was sent flying into orbit about 10 minutes ago. He's got a fast repair, and he's now, Rob, a second time to be twirling around in the air like that in this race?
Yeah, and not his fault at all. Came over the top of the hill there, coming down into the carousel, and another driver looping around right in front of him. And yeah, it has not been an easy day for Peter Dempsey, a driver, of course, we have seen run up front. He led the opening part of the first lap at Road America as well. Former winner of the Freedom 100 in the Indy Lights program, the premium event for Indy Lights drivers, of course, happening on Carb Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway before the 500. Not a good day, though, for Peter, the team owner at Turn 3 Motorsport.
Yeah, I feel very bad for Peter. I've never seen somebody twirl and spin like that in the air and spiral up into space as we watch our side-by-side coverage here twice in one race. And he's officially ended his season. He's parked that car. It was Ryan Norman who was coming back on the racetrack after recovering from his early spin. But Rob, can you believe that for Peter Dempsey? He had a lapped car destroy a victory at Barber for round number 1. And again, another car just in the way here. And I'm sure race control will look at that.
Yeah, he's been kind of the incident magnet today. Wherever he is, there's been something happen in front of him. As you said, a couple of big flips for him. He's shut off the sim. He's done for the day. But I'm sure we'll see Peter back for the next round of our eSeries program. Looking forward to having not just road courses, though. That's the great thing about the next series that we're going to have, Jonathan. We got 3 ovals. We're not saying which ovals yet, but we're going to have 3 ovals for these drivers, which is going to be great for them to get a feel for it. It'll be a totally different race for us to call as well.
Yep, now our pit stops are coming in. Carl Dupel, though, has just made a stop, and we believe he's had a pit lane penalty for an unsafe re-entry. So he is serving that penalty right now as we watch him trundle away in pit lane behind the scenes. Now, if you're wondering what those colors are, those little forward slashes next to each driver's name, you can identify what series they run in or whether or not they're a team owner, and you can keep track of that at the top of the screen, whether they're from Indy Lights. I don't see many Indy Lights drivers there in the top 20. They haven't had the best of races, but plenty from Indy Pro 2000 and even USF 2000. A lot of our young talent, Rob, trying to improve their racecraft here on the sim racing service.
Well, as I said, Jonathan, from the top of the broadcast, I love the fact that some of the younger drivers may be making their debut, whether it's in the USF 2000 series or in Indy Pro 2000. They're getting the opportunity to go wheel to wheel with the drivers that they'll be racing with when we do go back to competition in June or July. So for them, I think not only that, they're getting an opportunity to immerse themselves in the Road to Indy culture, in the family, in the community. a lot of trash talk, of course, during these practice days, but they're getting a chance to, they're kind of getting the camaraderie with the drivers as they're out there practicing, because we're seeing the race here today. They've been practicing almost every day of the week. A lot of them, of course, doing homeschooling at home during this shutdown, but they're getting a chance to get to know the drivers as well. So the camaraderie has really just been amped up big time here with this program.
And have a look at the track map on the right-hand side of the screen. Everybody's starting to spread up here around all 2.4 miles, 3.6 kilometers of mid-Ohio. Now here's how the race is shaping up. Braden Eves, for the first time this season, is dominating on pace ahead of Phil Dennis. Normally it's Phil Dennis that dominates, but Braden Eves has finally showed his full potential, and he could be on course to claiming his first race victory. But we'll wait and see until those pit stops coming up. Here's the battle for the third position we were keeping track of just earlier. Eduardo Barrichello in third, ahead of Kiko Porter, was holding a train of Castro and Brooks behind. Come pit stops, though, Rob, everything can shuffle around, and we've seen these drivers be very cautious sometimes heading into their box. Others just have no clue of how to make a pit stop. It's something they're just not used to in their racing world.
Yeah, we've definitely thrown them into the deep end. It's a discipline that they're going to have to learn sooner or later in their racing lives. But as we continue to follow Braden Eves, what I love about this, we're into the pit window now. Lap 14 to lap 22. A couple of drivers have come in early with open racetrack like he has right now out front, and no lap cars in front of him, which I think is kind of key. I think if we see Braden Eves potentially come up onto a group of lap cars, he would peel off then and get that pit stop done. But he's trying to go as long as he can into the stint, as long as he's hitting his lap times, right? He wants to make sure he's able to short fill when he's getting ready to go for the final run through it. So he's doing a tremendous job so far. But the key here now, Jonathan, for Braden Eves, again, as I said, from nearby Gahanna, Ohio, also supported by Meyer Shank Racing, Mike Shank's team in Indycar and in IMSA sports car racing. They're an Ohio team as well. This is their home track for Mid-Ohio. And of course, Michael Shank, a big supporter of Braden Eves. If he's able to come in here, win at his home track, it's going to put just a little bit more uniqueness, it'll make it a little more special for him to be here. And I guarantee you Mike Shank will be pleased if he's able to see Braden Eves score a victory here today.
And Braden Eves, a member of the Apex Racing Team. It's a simulation team on the iRacing service. They're the subsidiary of Apex Racing TV as well. And these two companies run side by side to bring you all this sim racing coverage. So great to see Braden leading this race. No, it's not fixed, ladies and gentlemen, in case you were wondering. And there's the answer. So
hey, he's also your teammate, because you're one of the Apex Racing team drivers as well, alongside Scott McLaughlin. I just want to say kudos to you, because you have not shown any favoritism, because I'm watching it. But no, you've been good.
Well, to call me a driver is an overstatement. As we watch Josh Green, that was torrid right there for Josh Green. He's actually pulled the car off the racetrack, so he's had enough of it. Probably a lot of damage. But to call me a driver, Rob, at this stage is, that's too nice, mate. I am literally lacking so much pace at the moment.
Yes, but let's be real. You've held a couple of world records at a couple of racetracks, so I'm going to give you. You may downplay your skills, but I'm going to give you enough props and enough kudos for what you've been able to do. It's great to have you here. Normally, it's the guy in the color seat, that talks about being the driver analyst. I'm more of a series analyst. We'll have to come back to you when we're talking about how to drive this car.
There you go. Thanks, Rob. I'm just a sim racer, but anyway, we've just had the fastest lap of the race go to Kiko Porto, who's on screen. There he is, the Brazilian, heading through the final couple of corners here at Mid-Ohio. And before that, I went to Andre Castro. We've had our first pit stop of the day, and that's to Phil Dennis, who dives in early. Now, this will be critical. There is no tire wear, really. This Cooper tire is very durable. So let's see whether or not Phil Dennis ends up with a clean slate of air here.
Well, he has been so good on the pit stops. That's really one of the things that has helped not only his pace, overall pace, but his pit stops have been great. His in-lap, his out-lap, and his stops have been absolutely ideal. And look at him, in and out again. Great stop here for Philippe Dennis, the young Californian. Will work his way out of the track. They come right back in at the exit of turn number 1. He's out there behind, I believe that's the 14, I think, of Louis Meyer. He'll try to dive down the inside there. Here comes Norman as well. Yeah, indeed. Right down to the apex goes Philippe Dennis. Meyer staying on the outside. A lap car. Great job. But Dennis, now, it's this lap. And Jonathan, talk about this, because I'd like to get your input. How tough is it? It's hard on regular cold Cooper tires. What's it like being out on cold tires in the sim world?
It's very tough to feel a spin. I think you have to be more cautious. What you can do in the real world, and remember, I've never driven in the real world, so this is a bad analogy, but when I speak to a lot of the real drivers, they say that you can push the car to the point where you'll start to feel it slide, but you can catch it. In the simulator, you can't catch those, especially not in this Pro Mazda. And so what it means is you have to anticipate for every spin you have. So it's something that you need to practice during the week, Rob, and so far it's something that Edward Barrichello and, of course, Cameron Shields and Anton Comeau will have to deal with because they're just making their one and only stops for the day.
Yeah, a number of drivers coming in here on lap number 22. As you said, Eduardo Barrichello, Cameron Shields, Max Kaiser into pit lane as well. Max has done such a fantastic job. Young driver, just 16 years of age, just a couple years in the Formula Ford. I did an interview actually with him and I asked, what Formula Ford did you race? A 1989 Euro Swift. It was yeah, exactly right. An older car for him, but a lot of great seat time. Then, of course, has made the move. He'll run with Miller Vinatieri Motorsports this year. And Max, a great young man, just 16 years of age, out of Colorado. And we had a fantastic interview. And again, he's really been a top 10 guy, at least top 15 for a lot of the series here this year.
Well, I haven't been to Formula Ford in a while, but at least a few years ago, they ran basically two classes. They ran the normal Formula Fords and the 1600 class, which was your old cars, and they were basically veterans of the series. But now we see a lot of drivers enter the lane. This is Braden Eves, our race leader. He'll be joined by Max Kaiser, Kiko Porto, and let's not forget Andre Castro there as well. And they will all service their cars for their one and only stop. Now it's going to be ever chaotic here. Visibility will be limited. Christian Brooks had to maneuver his way around two of the drivers there to search for his lollipop man.
So this is it right now. Philippe Dennis working his way out of the carousel. That is turns 12 and 13. The cut back onto the straightaway. Braden Eves just rolling onto the track with those fresh tires. He'll try to work his way up into the keyhole now. This is the battle we're going to see. Look at how close. That's the number 19 right behind him there. That is Kaminsky, I believe. Barrichello back out onto the racetrack as well. So is Castro. There's Brooks. Everybody pretty much right together. Number 12 sliding in. That's Kiko Porto. Almost sideways for Barrichello. Downhill, out of the keyhole. Jonathan off camber. Such a tough place to roll on the throttle.
What a save from Barrichello. But it's going to put him under attack here from his Brazilian compatriot of Kiko Porto. And Andre Castro looms too as they head towards the turn 5 braking zone. Couldn't separate them, only by a matter of inches so far. And how have they kept it clean? I don't know how, because Porto's going to throw it back up into the inside here at Madness. Now into the S's they go. And I tell you what here, this is an absolute thrilling battle, and it's going to end because Castro's day is done.
Tough one there as they work their way up over to turn number 9, coming into Thunder Valley. It looked to be like the 44 of Christian Brooks getting in the back of Castro. Castro might have checked up coming through there because I think that low line, the low line, he had to get off the throttle to be able to make it through because a low line there gives you a much wider exit. And you wide exit here, as we've seen before, you drop the left side Cooper tires and around you go. Man, that was just getting really good. They had threw the gloves off. We were going to go bare knuckle for the end of this one, and an issue with the number of drivers there in the top 10.
And that was the 48 of Ryan Norman, who had nowhere to go. He was a lap down from those guys, and what an unfortunate end to a thrilling scrap for the final podium position today. And it's under review by Race Control, and let me tell you, Ryan Cobb, Johnny Unser, Robbie Unser, Rob, they've got their work cut out for him here today.
Yeah, for me it's an interesting because the contact came from behind from Christian Brooks, but because Castro had kind of blocked a bit and stayed to the bottom, he had to get off the throttle a lot earlier, and that's what kind of, I think, accordioned with that contact coming in. You have to be on the rumbles. You can see there, was we're on board with Barrichello. You're on the outside rumbles on the turn in, you're up over top of the curb coming through the apex. You've got to get out to the rumbles on the outside as well, and if you try to have a shallow entry, you're going to have a dangerously wide exit. And that, for Castro, he had to get off it, and Christian Brooks really just with nowhere to go.
So it could be a drive-through penalty coming here for Christian Brooks, who unfortunately misjudged that as they headed through to turn number 9 on the racetrack and into Thunder Valley. But man, what a thrilling scrap that was. It came out of nowhere, didn't it, Rob? As Barrichello screamed through turn number 1. He was on warm rubber, and he didn't have the best of pit phases because, as you saw, Rob, he basically lost about a second, 2 seconds, and dropped to the back of the pack. But I think what's happened there, Rob, is as they filled this Pro Mazda up, they've had slower lap times. So those who have run longer in the stint have actually gained time over those who've run a shorter stint.
Well, we saw Braden Eves wait a couple extra laps longer than Philippe Dennis. Same thing. If you're turning the right lap times as the car starts to get a little bit lighter, it's going to be a lot more nimble. Even the fact that we talked about the fact that the tires do hang in there for so long. We're now on board with Daniel Frost. Daniel currently running in the 6th position. Good job for the driver who will be with Andretti Autosport in Indy Lights this year, the driver from Singapore. But again, if indeed they do give a drive-through to Christian Brooks, I talked about the fact that it kind of probably got caught off guard by the slowing of Castro. But you know, when you're on the inside line like that, and I'm sure Johnny Unser would say this, you have to expect the guy in front of you is going to brake a little bit earlier. So indeed a tough one for Christian Brooks if they do bring him into pit lane for a drive-through. But you have to be, aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of what the drivers in front of you are going to do, and that just takes more seat time.
Well, let's ride on board around this 2.4-mile layout with Daniel Frost, the Andretti Autosport driver. So that's a lap around mid-Ohio, and we're just hearing word that Kiko Porto's into the wall. And that's at the exit of turn number 1, and there is the stricken Pro Mazda, the D-Force Racing driver, Rob. His day could be done.
We had such a tremendous battle. Kiko been great throughout the entire day. Here's the replay as they come in through turn number 1. Does he just drop a wheel? Indeed, no, not a wheel. We'll call 4 wheels. He goes off-roading. And you simply can't control the car. The minute it started bouncing, he's trying to get, he's obviously on the wheel a bit to the left to try to get back to the pavement. And the minute it bit, straight across the racetrack, noses it in hard on the exit of turn 1.
Well, we were joking, Rob, pre-broadcast with Tyler Maxson behind the scenes, who's also racing in the real world too, and you would know him from karting. And we were saying it would be quite fun to have a crash into the barriers every now and then. And Tyler was telling me, no, I've done it twice, and it's not fun at all. I wouldn't have wanted to be Kiko Porto in that situation in the real world.
No, if we were in the real world, that would have been a hard hit on the Armco on the left side of that racetrack. I did enjoy that lap around with Daniel Frost. I think people maybe have never been here before. I've had a chance to race a number of different cars here at Mid-Ohio. You were able to see how many blind corners there are. When you're coming up over top of turn 5, you can't see a thing. Same thing coming into the S's of turn number 7 and 8. If you're blind all the way through there, through 7 and 8, blind coming back up at the Thunder Valley, you have to trust the car, but it's all about car placement as well, because as you're coming up to a corner that's blind, you have to have the car placed in the right spot to know where you're going to be when you get on the other side of that blind corner. And that's one of the tough parts about this racetrack, and what really sets Mid-Ohio apart from a lot of circuits. This track changes with the weather so drastically. It's going to be much different when it's cold. It's going to be much different when it's warmer in the middle of the day. But just the simple fact of all these blind corners really make it a driver's track.
Well, talking about Daniel Frost, I think I crashed into him a few weeks ago on on a servo. It was just a practice session, but I think I came out of the pits and he was on a lap, and I think someone got in his way and he had nowhere to go, and as he was spinning, I think I crashed into him. So there you go. That was a good introduction to Daniel Frost. I think that was pre-round 1 as well. He wouldn't have known who I was, but I had studied the dude I think 2 days prior, and I was like, oh, there you go. There's Daniel Frost.
He's a really interesting story, isn't he, when it comes to the road to Indy? Because he came in USF 2000. He did 3 races with Exclusive Autosport, just the 3. Elected to move right up to the Indy Pro 2000 category instead of staying in USF 2000. He did a full season with Exclusive Autosport in USF 2000 and won a couple of races. One at Toronto, being number one. One on the oval at Lucas Oil Raceway as well. It's a tough place to be able to win races. And now he jumps right into Indy Lights, so he's fast-tracking his way through. I'm really excited and intrigued to see how Daniel does this year in Indy Lights.
And as you said that, Rob, that was a replay of Reese Gold through the middle sector going nowhere. This is Max Kaiser on screen, who's lost it as well, heading past China Beach through the middle sector. And now we watch. Now, what's this? This is a battle for... No, this is a lap car getting in the way. We're watching Jacob Loomis. Now, is this a battle for 6? So I'm looking at the timing on the left-hand side of the screen. A bit confusing. And it is Jacob Loomis versus... Is that Daniel Frost as well, I see, Rob? No, it's Anton Camo.
Interesting because Antoine Camo has got some different coloring on the car. Not the Turn 3 Motorsports graphics we would expect, the blue and white that we see with Dempsey and Lucas Cole. So indeed, Antoine Camo, actually, he's running pretty well. Stayed out of trouble so far here, Jonathan. As you said, his first race, right, with the program. Look at this scrap. Prescott Campbell going at it with Hunter McElroy. That's a good fight for 11th and 12th. It's outside the top 10, but they're side by side coming through here. What a scrap coming into Thunder Valley. Prescott Campbell for Exclusive Autosport. Hunter McElroy for Past Racing. Man, dropping the gloves as well.
Nice stuff here from McElroy. He'll have to form up, though, through the middle sector. And whilst we're hearing this, there'll be a drive-through penalty for Michael D'Orlando, car number 4. He'll have to come into the lane from the 9th position, and you'll hand that spot over to Prescott Campbell and Hunter McElroy, who make their way through on the main straight here. Here they scream through turn number 1 at Mid-Ohio. It's such a short run from the front stretch here to the first corner, and here is really where you mentally prepare for the rest of the lap. This is where we sometimes begin some races on the back stretch, but Hunter McElroy will see this part of the circuit as his best overtaking opportunity here on Prescott Campbell.
Hunter McElroy trying to work his way up here, as we said. Good run. This is it, but Campbell's going to run a bit to the inside. You can make an outside pass here. That's the one thing about it, because if you roll, you see, if you get to the outside, you're going to have the inside for turn number 5. McElroy able to get the job done. And another line corner over top. Car gets super light. Back down, compresses for the entry of turn number 6 through turn number 7. Hunter McElroy get the job done. Good pass there. Textbook outside pass in turn number 4.
Good stuff from the 20-year-old. He's an Australian, but he lives at the moment. There's a huge wobble there for that's Hunter McElroy we're just talking about, as Prescott Campbell tries to search for a way past. He's actually going to possibly go around the outside here of 12. He'll have the inside into 13, the left-hander, and now they're going to begin another lap alongside each other. There's only about 5 minutes remaining, so these positions are important.
Side by side to turn number 1, contact, and around goes McElroy. Jonathan, I was literally holding my breath. As we'll watch the replay again, they'll come onto the front straightaway side by side. Prescott Campbell's got the inside line. Hunter's going to try to roll the outside, and just a bit of contact as Hunter decided to turn in. Oh, tough.
Tough finish for them both. It was inevitable that was going to happen into turn 1. But anyway, with 5 minutes remaining, it's Braden Eves who leads this race quite comfortably. He's had a very stagnant event, and it's a very good one, I mean. That's not in a negative sense. He's certainly running away with victory for the moment. It will be his first of the season so far. He's had and scored himself quite a number of podiums in our 5 races, but the exclusive Autosport driver is lapping away quite well here. So we'll wait and see how his next 5 minutes will go. But the champion at the moment will be Phil Dennis, and he'll win $2,600 to donate to a charity of his choice. And Rob, he's elected for that charity to be the COVID-19, the UN COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund.
Yeah, both he and Eduardo Barrichello had picked that particular charity, and fantastic, of course. Big thank you to TSOladder.com for putting $500 into that as well. Another look, this is another look, yeah. Let's have another look at this battle. Again, that was a fight between Hunter McElroy and Prescott Campbell. I think we checked away on that. Here's your current second place runner, not done yet with the championship. He's got to get home. If he doesn't finish inside the top 10, let's say something were to happen with the lap car, we're not done here yet. Even though Philippe Dennis is where he needs to be, P2, we're not done. We cannot declare him as champion until he gets to the checkered flag.
Yeah, exactly. Got to win the championship by finishing the race first. And second position will be enough for Braden Eves. For Phil Dennis, excuse me. And he'll hand the win to Eves, and it's a surprise for me. You know, Eves I always knew was quick, but for some reason in this series, he was just lacking that extra bit of oomph. But for Phil Dennis, he's been beaten fair and square today by the exclusive Autosport driver. But how about Barrichello for a podium in third, Rob? He's always been the third quickest in this series so far, and I'm glad to see he was rewarded with victory at Road America, but I'm sure he'll be happy with a podium finish today to finish his season.
Well, with that victory, this would be his 5th straight podium, not finishing off the podium at all in the entire E-Series, so a really strong run for Eduardo. As I had said, everybody gets to press the reset button. We get to do it again. I wonder with Eves whether maybe he just didn't have enough time in the Pro Mazda car. Potentially Philippe had some more seat time in the car before. I think, as we all know, it's been on the iRacing service for many, many years. Not a lot of people drive it anymore. Of course, all the drivers here are super excited to see the USF 2000 and the Indy Pro 2000 PM18 come onto the service whenever they do get that thing wrapped up. But for a guy like Barrichello, I just like the fact he's been super impressive. He's been so consistent. He does a lot. He does practice a lot, which I think is key, and it's going to pay off, Jonathan, when we go racing again in June at Road America.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll wait and see how that fares. The current fastest lap of the race is held by Andre Castro with a 1 minute 15.623. So at the moment, he will win his first fastest lap of the race award, and that's brought to you by TSOladder.com. They're presented by Cooper Tires. Here we watch Colin Kaminsky with... He's almost cut the keyhole there. I don't know where he's going to end up after this. Oh, and he's finally spun it around on the tarmac at the end of the day, Rob.
Oh, that's actually the keyhole part of this racetrack. There are times we'll run the event here, go up the straightaway to turn number 2, and we actually turn right, then left, and left, and right, come back out. It's a little keyhole on the inside of the racetrack. That's where he ended up. Looked to me like he was trying to run the U.S. Rallycross program, the American Rallycross that Cooper Tire sponsored as well. That they ran their event in the inside of the keyhole using some of the racetrack as well. So a little bit of rallycrossing for Colin Kaminsky. Definitely not playing the way he wanted it to play, though.
So at the moment, Barrichello will finish second in the championship if they stay as is right now, and I think you'll coast that Pro Mazda car home. You know, I was a big fan of his dad, Rob, back in the day, Rubens Barrichello, and I'm hoping the family's watching. They've been tuning in and supporting Dudu, but man, you know, to be as consistent as he is right now, I've always admired a racer who is consistent over pace, if that makes sense. I love the quick guys, don't get me wrong, but being consistent in racing is something that it's something that not a lot of drivers can get their head around. And if you have it sorted at a young age, credit to you.
Well, and I think you have to, when you talk about the Barrichello family, they're still heavily involved in top-level karting as well. Ruben still drives. He races single speed. He races shifter karts at 48 years of age. He continues to run major events. He'll run the Florida Winter Tour events. We've seen him at the Superkarts USA Super Nationals running against the top shifter kart drivers in the world in the KZ category. But they've been running recently with PSL Karting, and to get Dudu on the track, racing, testing like crazy, that's the thing you look for in karting. You're not always looking for the blinding outright lap. You're looking to have a consistent lap. But when you come in and you look down at your Micron dash, you want to see the top 3 times be exactly the same time, right? You want that consistency, and that's what these drivers battle for. And a guy that's been so consistent here today, loves this Mid-Ohio sports car course. Jonathan, let's bring this guy home. Braden Eves leading by 3.3 seconds.
White flag waves for the exclusive Autosport driver. He's such a quick sim racer as Braden Eves. And he's on pursuit towards his first victory of the season as he heads to the deep braking zone into turn 4. Hopefully he doesn't end in China Beach to end his season. It's been a phenomenal race from him so far. Lights to flag victory after starting from second. Screen past Phil Dennis at the beginning, and he's never looked back here, but Eves will win, and it could be Dennis for the championship.
What I like about this is this could be fighting, getting things dialed in for our next championship. But folks, if you were to ask this young driver from Ohio which race he wanted to win in the Ricmotech Road to Indy eSeries here on iRacing, Braden Eves would have told you it was here, his home track in Mid-Ohio. He'll come through the carousel for the final time, last corner on the racetrack, the winner, round 5 at Mid-Ohio. Braden Eves for Exclusive Autosport, a huge victory for him. And the driver cruising across the line to second. He will win the championship as well. An impressive run, 3 wins, and then caps the season off with a second place finish. Philippe Dennis for RP Motorsports USA. Jonathan, the champion of this first season of Road to Indy eSeries competition.
And Cameron Shields comes home in fourth ahead of Daniel Frost. They claim their best results of the season so far. But congratulations to Phil Dennis, who will take the championship ahead of Eduardo Barrichello. Braden Eves with that victory will lock in third. And I tell you what, for Phil Dennis, hats off to him, Rob. He has impressed me so much on the simulator. I'm sure he spends hours and hours per day on that thing. And surely in the real world, he'll be able to do the same, hopefully, in 2020.
Well, you know, Jonathan, here it is. I don't care what you do in the world, whatever your sport may be, whatever your discipline. And it's the same thing with motorsports. It's all about dedication. It's all about passion. And it's all about putting in the time. I don't, you know, whatever it may be, you have to put the time in, whether it's in the fitness side of it, the driving side of it, the sponsorship and marketing side of it. When it comes to this particular eSeries program and being, you know, proficient on the iRacing platform, you have to spend the time behind the wheel. You got to be in your sim rig. And I think we're seeing right now that Philippe Dennis completely dedicated not only to his motorsports career, but making sure anytime he gets on the sim itself, he's going to be victorious as well. So for me, that's one of the biggest things, that he's able to get the job done by committing 100% to this discipline.
Well, don't leave us. We're going to speak to your series champion and look at the rest of our post-race results. After this, you're watching the final round of the Ricmotech Road to Indy eSeries.
And this is a Cooper tire. Great tire. Now, it's not going to cook you a pot roast, but it will stop when you hit the brakes. And these truck tires can stop on average 10 feet shorter than other tires on a wet road. See, the trick is in the grip. And these tires grip like my handshake. Look, I'm your uncle. I love you. I want you to stop when you need to. Doesn't matter if it's for a red light or a duckling. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! And never start something you can't stop.
Not surprisingly, the drivers who finished in the top three spent a little bit of time on the racetrack doing some donuts, having some fun to celebrate the end of the program. But of course, the driver who will celebrate the most, and he will be able to put his name on the donation to the COVID-19 charity of his choice. A tremendous second-place finish. He wins the championship. Philippe Dennis, congratulations. A dominant season for you. You win the first three races, but you come home P2 here today. Congrats. Give me your thoughts on winning this championship.
Oh, Rob, I'm so relieved to get this. You have no idea. Throughout the whole race, I was having technical difficulties with my computer, and I just could not keep up with Braden, and I was getting run down by that pack behind me, and I was just doing everything I could to stay consistent with low frame rates. And luckily, I held on to it, and they came back in the last 5 minutes of the race or so, and I started running Braden back down, but it was too late by then. I'm so relieved. I have to thank RP Motorsport, my family, firefighters, my girlfriend for supporting me, all of them just best supporters. I'd like to thank, Road to Indy, Ricmotech, all you guys for putting on such a great event, and I'm so happy to get this.
You know,
First
Philippe,
championship, actually, if this counts.
that's it. It does count, man. This goes on the resume for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, listen, one last quick question. You got to put a lot of time into this. As you did any kind of motorsports, you have to focus on it. You've dedicated yourself to this racing on the iRacing platform. How much time do you have to put in to make sure you're winning these races?
Well, I was doing the official practice sessions before. It's plenty of time to practice, but this was the finale, so I had to do a little bit of extra practice to get ready for this one.
Well, congratulations, my friend. Well done. Jonathan, a great run. I know you maybe have a couple of questions as well, but Philippe, just a tremendous drive.
Thank you.
I actually want to ask Philippe, like, dude, you're so quick in this car. Then I watch your Formula 3 world records and iRacing going like, is there something you're not quick in? Do we put you in a non-open wheeler car and see?
Oh, I don't think so. Christian and I were going at it in rallycross the other day, so I like to have fun in whatever I can.
Oh, well, there you go, Rob. I'll leave you to it, Philippe. But congratulations to him. He is our series champion, Rob. It's great to crown him as a well-deserved champion for the series. Drove so splendidly. And to know what he was discussing there about low frame rates, you don't understand how difficult that is to drive with that, Rob. He's basically driving at pretty much driving with lag. Exactly. That's insane. So he would be watching his screen and it would basically be jumping around as he's driving. So if he's had a minor spin, Rob, it would be almost impossible to catch.
Well, that's unbelievable.
You didn't want to hear me in the behind the scenes. I was screaming.
So there you go. Input from Philippe Dennis. He ends up winning the championship, folks. 144 points. Dudu Barrichello, 122 points. And Braden Eves, 116 points. Jonathan, can't wait to press the reset button and do this again because we have another 5-race series coming up with 3 ovals. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Now, we're going to say goodbye to our MAVTV Motorsports Network, our Canadian audience over there. We've loved your support of the series so far, and it's been awesome. If you want to catch the rest of our post-race coverage, tune in, whether it's on the Apex Racing YouTube page or even on Facebook. Don't forget the iRacing Esports Network too. So catch the rest of our post-race coverage there. But man, it's been thrilling to have Canada involved, Rob, and you're a Canadian yourself. We say goodbye to the most polite country I've ever met in the world.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have MAVTV come on. It's always great to have an opportunity to watch more racing on our cable networks and for them to be able to work with us here in the Ricmotech Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires eSeries. That's awesome. Those people watching in Canada, stay safe, stay at home. We got warm weather coming, folks. Just be patient. Welcome back, folks, to our wrap-up show here at the Ricmotech Road to Indy eSeries program. Again, final round of action and a tremendous run for Philippe Dennis, as we said, to be able to score the championship. But the driver was able to put on an absolute show today, flag the checker, no issues whatsoever, never put a wheel wrong. He's joining us right now. Braden Eves from Exclusive Autosport. What a run. If there's a track we figured you were going to be good at, Mid-Ohio was probably going to be the right one, correct?
I don't know, maybe not after last year's results, but it's a track that I've always wanted to do very well at. It's a track that, you always have a lot of fans come out in real life. So it's definitely a lot of pressure to perform at the home event. And it was a great race. Phil had some technical issues, which actually helped us in the beginning. But overall, I mean, I think I had the pace to win either way. So really good race. Awesome job to everyone at Road to Indy, Ricmotech, for putting on the series. It was a lot of fun, and I hear there's another one that's going to be going down, so I'm looking forward to that one as well.
You know, I know, Braden, everything you've done coming through karting, and of course last year the USF 2000 program winning that championship, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to perform, right? You're always wanting to be perfect. You had some really good runs throughout this particular program, this 5-race series. How much pressure were you putting on yourself for this particular weekend to cap this thing off with an exclamation point?
I think probably the least in this race of all of them.
Interesting. Okay.
I didn't do a ton of practice, but I think I did an adequate amount to the point where I felt like I was prepped and ready to go. I think I should have, honestly, I made a big mistake on my fastest lap in qualifying. I think I could have got the pole had that not happened, but hindsight's 2020, and ultimately it was a really fun race, really fun series, and yeah, thanks to everyone for putting it on.
Well, congratulations on a tremendous run. Jonathan, what do you think about this young American driver? Obviously, a big win for him. You got to think he's going to be one of the championship challengers for our second series, which starts in about a week and a half.
Yeah, definitely. Got a few ovals in there too to mix it up for Braden. And I think he got what he deserved at the end of the season, Rob, which was a race victory, regardless or not of Phil driving with 25 frames, which can be difficult. But, at the end of the day, I think Braden just absolutely flew today. And even if he was in a scrap with Phil at the end of the day, Rob, I think with the draft keeping them both in play, we could have seen a drag race to the finish line like we saw at Indianapolis, possibly. A little difficult to do at Mid-Ohio, but you never know.
Well, what I like for sure is the fact that both Braden and Philippe are going to be now battling each other when we eventually do go real-life racing at Road America in June. Maybe we have a little bit of a rivalry brewing. They're rivals here on the iRacing platform. Let's do it when we get outdoor racing too. Let's have that rivalry stoked, and I'll trust me, I'm on the PA. I'm going to be firing it up for sure.
No, I love a bit of trash talk as long as it's all friendly and it's not at the end of the day, it's not personal or anything like that. It's all in a bit of good fun. But one driver that we're watching on screen right now is Dudu Barrichello. He came home in the third position. Rob, he'll be stood alongside you. And if we had another sponsor to sponsor the most consistent driver of the year award, I would hand it to this young Brazilian.
Yeah, Dudu, congratulations. 5 straight podium finishes. You end up finishing third here today, second place in the points, just 22 points back. Walk me through your race. You're pretty happy with the way things went. There was some really, really good side-by-side racing from third on back.
Yeah, hello guys. It's a pleasure to be here for the 5th time in a row. Thanks for the award. I would love to have that. I had a very, very poor qualifying. I flipped in the last lap, so not ideal. I started 6th. I was kind of running there, and then second, third lap, they had an incident in front of me. I got cleared. I was having a bit of a battle with Kiko and all the guys that were behind me, but I was really trying to concentrate and just push. I got a little bit of a gap. My pits were good for the first time, so I guess I improved with that. So yeah, I'm happy for that. Yeah, a driver that was a lap behind got out of the pits, and he just decided to pass me. So I lost about a second and a half there, but whatever. That's racing. Congrats to Philip Dennis. He's very, very good, very fast. And congrats to Braden Eves for the race win.
Well, I'll tell you this, Eduardo. You guys put a great show on for us there mid-race through. There was the 4 of you battling with Andre Castro and Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to race with those guys? Because you guys were going back and forth, in and out. It seems like you had a lot of respect for each other. You knew that each other wasn't going to take the other guy out, which I think was really played to have some really, really close racing.
Yeah, well, I think it's very good. I know Kiko very, very well. I've been racing with him since I was 12 years old. So we know each other well. We're very, very good friends also. So I knew he wasn't going to hit me. I was not going to hit him also. Yesterday I practiced a bit with Andre Castro, so I knew he wasn't doing anything crazy, especially because they all know I was fighting for the championship. So yeah, it was very clean battle, close actually. But I was fortunate enough to finish in third, and I think I'm the vice champion, am I?
Yes, you're indeed the vice champion. Now, one last question. They're going to be announcing a new 5-race series coming up to start in about a week and a half's time. We're going to be doing 2 road courses and 3 oval races. What are your thoughts about doing some oval racing here on the iRacing platform?
Yeah, well, that's very good. Ovals are obviously very, very nice. My only issue is that I will not be racing because I have my own Brazilian league, which is all Wednesdays at night. So me and Kiko will probably not be racing the Road to Indy, unfortunately.
Well, it's a shame. We would love to have you here, but congratulations on the Vice Championship here for this particular E-Series. Put that on the resume, and we look forward to seeing when we go racing at Road America in June. Thank you very much, Eduardo.
Thank you. I really want to thank Pabst Racing, the whole crew, my teammates that helped me a lot. I want to thank Ale Combustibles for all the help that they've been giving me. I wanted to say hi to my family. All my friends are watching. My girlfriend, they're such a big support for me. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank you guys again.
Thank you, sir. Jonathan, I'll tell you, this is a young man that we're going to be watching. Of course, so many people watched his father, Rubens Barrichello, but I always love when the second-generation drivers start stepping up, making a name for themselves, telling their own story. Eduardo's a great young man. You can see, obviously, very eloquent as well. He's one to watch right now. He's a guy that, when we're at the race somewhere and they're signing autograph cards, get one from Eduardo Barrichello because it's going to be a collector's item that you're going to have once he gets to wherever he gets in professional motorsports.
That's good. I like that.
You like that?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks a lot, dude. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for the opportunity. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Jonathan, there you go. Tremendous young man right there. So again, folks, dialing things in here. A tremendous race, as we said, a big win for Braden Eve, scoring the victory. Philippe Dennis coming home in second, but with that position, he's able to get the spot. So Philippe Dennis wins that championship. Tough to hear, though, that Barrichello's not going to be able to join us for the next race, but as we move to Wednesday afternoons, or Wednesday evenings, rather, that's going to preclude him from coming with a series he already does in Brazil. So, Jonathan, you with me? You back with me?
Yeah, I got you here. We've
There
just
you
been
go.
talking to a lot of people behind the scenes trying to get them in post-race interviews. I love that shot on screen, by the way, of the three of them basically donutting across the start-finish straight, and it was a great end to the season, a brilliant shot. But for now, Rob, we're going to speak to Jacob Loomis, who stood alongside you. He came home in the 6th position. No Cameron Shields or Daniel Frost today in 4th and 5th, so Jacob Loomis is our next best in the 6th position.
Well, Jacob Loomis, great to talk to you now. Of course, we had a little chat with you at Road America after you came up big as the Good Samaritan, helping push Christian Brooks back to the line after he ran out of fuel. This time we're talking to you because you were blinding fast today. A pretty great run for you. Can you walk us through the day for you? You happy with P6?
Yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy. I didn't have the best start to the morning, that's for sure. I was going through some technical issues in qualifying, trying to get a new wheel set up, and then midway through the race, actually, my chassis kind of broke, and I ended up spinning off the track, and so it was really difficult the last half of the race to keep it on track. But overall, I'm pretty happy coming from, I think I started 18th all the way to P6.
So you start that deep in the field. What is the key coming through? This track is not easy to pass on, as we know, right? It's really the end of the back straightaways, the opportunity to pass. How did you hold on? How did you focus on the patience to be able to come all the way from that deep in the field to get yourself up into a 6th place finish?
Well, I just knew from experience with the previous races that there was just going to be, carnage, and I knew the pit stop was obviously key. So I knew as long as I had clear track in front of me after the first few laps, I would be all right. So I just kind of held on to that lead pack's draft, and like you said, the end of the backstretch, just such a good place to pass, and that was where I made all my moves, or the majority of them, and just kind of stayed clean the rest of the race.
We got a new series coming there in about a week and a half. We're going to do 2 road courses and 3 ovals. Are we going to see you in action there as well?
Oh, of course. I'm super excited for the ovals. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to the new series.
Jacob, congratulations on a great run today. We look forward to seeing you at the next one.
Thanks so much, Rob.
Hey, Jonathan, I'll tell you, another great young driver. I told you the great story about Jacob Loomis last year, that privateer effort where they had just a small trailer and a couple easy up tents, but they wanted to come Indy Pro 2000 racing. I know Jacob working very hard on potentially running the entire season this year. News potentially coming that we'll see him full time. So a great young man. I've had a chance to cover him up through the years in karting as well, and I think we've seen here he definitely has the skills to be able to get the job done.
Yeah, most certainly. And another driver who has similar skills is Anton Comeau for Turn 3 Motorsports. He stood alongside you for another post-race interview.
Antoine, a quick one here before we have to jump into a break. We haven't seen you yet, and I know you've been busy with work, with everything happening with the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, but you show up here today, P7, man. What a good run for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like you said, I've been busy during the first few weeks of the series, but during the week I was able to get probably around 200 or 300 laps at least on the track. So I was definitely ready to do some racing, and I was pretty happy about the result as well. And obviously, it was a blast to race with Jacob for about half the race.
Hey, we're going to see you at the next race we do. We have another 5-race series coming. Are we going to see you more than one time?
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping to be able to do all the races, and it's definitely going to help since it's on Wednesday night, as we might start to get busy on the weekend with practice at the Autobahn.
All right, Antoine. Congratulations on a great race today. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Let's move from Antoine Camo, who finishes in that 7th spot, to the driver right behind him. Andre Castro, we've been talking to you pretty much on a regular basis through these events. You guys were having a tremendous battle there for third on back, but some contact coming through into Thunder Valley really kind of put you, on the back foot, I think.
Yeah, we were having a really good race up until then. And we were just in that train led by Dudu, and he was really quick. And I did a practice race with him yesterday, so I knew he was really quick. And so me and Kiko and Christian just all kind of latched onto him, and we caught Phil. And then we had the pit stops, and then after that, we all just accordion together and had some contacts. So yeah, then I had to pit and do a fast repair, but still came home 8th and 4th in the championship, which is really cool for us and for Legacy. Obviously we came close to winning a couple times, so I feel bad we couldn't do that for them. But to finish 4th, I think is really good. And yeah, had a really good time, racing with these guys, minus the incidents. We had some of them this season, but looking forward to the next one because that should be a really fun series too. And yeah, just fun to race against guys like Phil and Braden and Dudu that are really, really good at what they do.
So that's Andre Castro. We'll bring you a special guest after the break too. Don't leave us. More coming after this.
It's me, your Uncle Cooper, and this is a Cooper tire. Great tire. Now, it's not going to cook you a pot roast, but it will stop when you hit the brakes. And these truck tires can stop on average 10 feet shorter than other tires on a wet road. See, the trick is in the grip, and these tires grip like my handshake. Look, I'm your uncle. I love you. I want you to stop when you need to. Doesn't matter if it's for a red light or a duckling. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! And never start something you can't stop.
Well, how about this, Rob Howden? We've got one special guest, which I promised after the break, and it is a man named Johnny Unser, who will be stood alongside you for a post-race interview. I've got some questions for Johnny too, but I'll leave it to you first. It's been a hectic season for him back in race control.
Well, I think the big thing, as we bring him in here in a second, Johnny Unser, we talked about all the drivers. This is a new discipline for them. So many of them maybe hadn't been on the iRacing platform before. And throughout the season, this 5-race program, they've been getting a better feel for it. We've seen a lot better racing. Johnny Unser, I have to say that all the work you've done as a driver, as a professional driver yourself, as a driver coach, and as a race official, this had to be the most intriguingly different thing you've ever had to do, and actually be an official for a race online. Talk a little bit about that. How long did it take you to get a good feel for it?
Well, I'm still trying to get a good feel for it, but I'll tell you what, Rob, you guys, the thing that makes it all work is the group that I'm working with. These guys that are experienced in this sim racing, and I'm talking about the officials with Extreme Motorsports, it's amazing the resources that they have. We have some programs running in the background that help us keep track on what's going on with the race. It shows us when there's contact. It shows us when a car's stopped. It shows us everything. And then we have numerous, camera angles on every car all the time. So the resources are like unlimited, and it's trying to keep up with all that data. I got screens running everywhere. Not that I know what to do with them all, but there's about 5 of us that are working together on on all of these calls, and what I'm trying to do is go back and look at the replay and go, yeah, thumbs up or thumbs down, what are we going to do with this? So it's been really good, but it's come with the help from a lot of very experienced people.
How about a comment on how you think the drivers developed and kind of evolved with this platform? It's something new to them, right? There's a mindset that they have to have because they don't have that immediate understanding that if you wreck, it's going to cost you a lot of money and potentially hurt you. You don't have that in this particular platform. So really, the way you officiate a race is what is going to dictate to these drivers how they approach things. What are your thoughts on maybe how the drivers evolved and started to learn the platform a little more throughout the races?
Well, they've come a long ways from race one, and I think you saw it. Yeah, we had plenty of incidents, but they're doing a really good job on treating it like a real race. I mean, yeah, there are those situations that happen, but if you watch a practice session, these guys are wrecking all the time and hitting the reset button. But when it comes to the race, they're being much more careful and have done a really good job. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we head to some ovals.
Now, Johnny, I'm going to chime in from another Johnny, and I'm going to ask, on a lighter side, what's been the funniest incident you've had to investigate in this virtual series?
Oh, boy.
Is there one that comes to mind? There were a few hilarious ones, especially today.
Well, I mean, there's some that I just kind of go, oh no, I don't like it when you see a car back out onto the racetrack in the middle, and cause a big one like that happened. I hate to see when our front runners get taken out by
Like Peter
by an
Dempsey.
incident.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
Is that who you're referring?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Peter had some bad luck today.
Well, we were laughing not at Pete, but basically at his luck because he lost a win at Barber, should have won that race, and then he comes in today and has a car back out onto the racetrack, and it was the second time we saw Dempsey. Basically, I don't know if he was flying into space both times, but he did a few 360s while he was at it.
Oh yeah, I mean the wrecks are unbelievable. In some situations, you go, wow. But there's some guys that have bad luck, and some guys that have. I mean, look at every time Phil was getting ready to pass a car today, the car drove off the track. It seemed like. I mean, he just had incredible luck of getting around lap traffic. So I don't know. It's the same thing that happens on the real racetrack. Sometimes the luck falls your way, and sometimes it doesn't.
All right, Johnny, we'll leave you to it. Hopefully see you back for the next season. I presume hopefully you'll be back on board?
Yep. I'll be standing by. Thank you guys. It's been great. Excellent job from everybody. Extreme Motorsports and Frank at Ricmotech and Cooper Tire for making this thing happen because it took a lot of people to come together. You guys in the booth have done an unreal job. It's been fun to see it all happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so he'll be back soon enough. And for Rob Howden, you'll be back soon for next season, I presume, as well.
Yeah, I'll most definitely be back. I look forward to it. I'm really excited about the ovals because I think that will be something different, as Johnny alluded to. It's going to be it's going to be a different approach. When we go Lucas Oil Raceway, man, you run the very high line around the wall the whole time. I'm assuming we're going to Lucas Oil. I don't even know which tracks we're going to yet. I think the different tracks we go to will be just a new challenge for these drivers. I really look forward to the ovals in the next series.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be great. We need the experience. We need all these drivers need the experience on the oval, and I really think it's going to it's going to help and make us better when we come to the racetrack for real.
So we had a fastest lap of the race award to be awarded to, and that will go to Kiko Porto for his first one of the season, and that's brought to you by TSOladder.com. who are presented by Cooper Tires. But for now, though, it's time to wrap up, and I can't believe I'm saying this after 5 awesome weeks of the series. So there you have it. We will thank mostly our Canadian audience from the MAVTV Motorsports Network who may have tuned in for post-race interviews here, and for everybody else who's joined us over the course of this mini 5-week season during this unfortunate coronavirus global pandemic. But what a fantastic season it's been. There's an abundance of people to thank, including iRacing, our series partners in Ricmotech, Cooper Tires, who present the series, as well as Extreme Motorsports 99. We also have Symmetric Driver Performance Labs and TSOladder.com sponsoring our pole and fastest lap of the race awards. There's also a lot of people to thank in terms of human beings, and they include Kevin Ford, race director Ryan Cole. We've got assistant director Johnny Unser, who you just heard from, and Robbie Unser too, from Frank Rico, Tammy Valkowski, and Mike Guerrero. And let's not forget the entire Road to Indy staff who have worked hard behind the scenes to bring you our virtual action. From Apex Racing TV, thanks to Lee Thompson, Samuli Kumo, Tyler Maxson. Alongside me was the brilliant voice of Road to Indy, Rob Howden. And for anyone else who we might have left out, it's always tough naming names. So we hope they are acknowledged for their participation in making this brilliant Ricmotech Road to Indy eSeries. And for myself, Jonathan Simon, we hope you enjoyed our season presentation. Our champion was Phil Dennis, and we'll see you for the next one in a couple of weeks' time.